What's up, StaleMates? This is Zach. Welcome back to another episode. But before we get into this episode with Jarrett Stod, I want to tell you guys about our sponsors. Barbarian Apparel, the #1 apparel business in the game. You see the shirt, you see the hat. They hook us up. They came and they showed out for StaleMates Street League 1. Also, I want to give a shout out to the floors. Give it a show, Tyler. That is Above and Beyond Wash and Seal. Hit up Trent. He's our guy. He's a wrestling guy. You tell him that we sent you. He's gonna hook you up. He's gonna give you a deal. Okay? You want nice, sweet floors like this? Hit up Trent at Above and Beyond Wash and Seal. Link for both of those down below. This episode is a fire episode. We have Jarrett Stod. He is a TikTok YouTuber, you name it, influencer. You love him, you hate him. He's going to be wrestling Ian Butler, a Bellator fighter who also has a match coming up with Carlos Condit on UFC Fight Pass, some jiu-jitsu match. So he's going to have a busy month of October. Tickets will be on sale soon. Make sure that you're following us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and now TikTok at StaleMates Show for all the updates. We'll see you there. Oh, and one more thing. Click on that Patreon link down below if you want to watch StaleMates Street League 2. If you watch StaleMates Street League 1 and you're still subscribed, you're still good. So stay subscribed. $3.99 a month. That's all it takes. You get all bonus content in the world. StaleMates Street League's on there. We got tons of content with this upcoming season. So if you want more wrestling content, hit subscribe to our Patreon. I promise you it'll be the best $3.99 you spend every single month. It's cheaper than the Snickers and a Gatorade at Come and Go. All right, so hit subscribe. What's up, StaleMates? Welcome back to another episode, a very important episode. We have one of the co-main events of StaleMates Street League 2. A lot of people want to know who this guy is. Did he wrestle? Why people care about him? Why you should care about him? And much more. Please welcome to the show, Jarrett Stod. What's going on, Jarrett? How you doing?
Oh, what's up? Thank you for having me.
Yeah. What do you got going on today? Just doing this, or are you doing TikToks or YouTubes? What are you doing?
I actually just got back from Malibu, California. I was doing modeling today, so
there you go. You're busy. You're like a Renaissance man, huh?
I'm always staying busy. Yeah, I'm trying to at least.
Okay, so you're originally from Iowa, correct?
Yep, I'm from a small town called New Sharon, right next to Oskaloosa.
Okay.
So I was a little 1A school.
Yes.
And I moved to California about 6 months ago.
You've only been out there for 6 months?
Yep, I moved out here in the end of April, I believe. So okay. Right around there.
Did you start going like viral and stuff in Iowa and then you moved out there? Did you move out there and then it all kind of started happening?
Yeah, so I actually started last September, so 2020 in September. I was like 130 pounds and I was like very just self-conscious about my body and my eye. And I started making TikToks while I was still in college at DMAC in Des Moines, actually. Okay. And then in a matter of like 2 months, I was like, wow, like this could be a career. And it just took off from there. And I dropped out spring semester and then moved to Cali like 3 months later.
So you were just going to DMAC. How old are you, by the way?
I just turned 21.
Dang. Wow.
I'm a young guy still.
Yeah, you seemed a lot older than I thought. Maybe we'd be closer in age. I'm 26.
Okay.
And yeah, we saw you at our first event. And you
yeah, so I know like Jimmy Schuessler, he dates my cousin. So that's why I went there. Yeah. And then I saw you guys. Yeah.
So you'd walked in and I have a 14-year-old cousin and she's a 14-year-old girl and you walked in and she's like, oh my God, this TikToker's here. And I
believe I took a picture with her, I think.
Yeah, you did. And my wife and I think her friends and a bunch of people. And I think at that point, I learned about that happening like probably at the end of the night. So I didn't actually get to talk to you while you were there.
Yep.
But I remember everybody's just thinking, what the heck was that dude doing there? And then I found out the Jimmy connection. Having Jimmy on the card was like one of the best things because he sold a ton of tickets and then we got to meet you in the process of this. So
yeah, he's a great guy. I love that man.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and ask you because all the comments on this poster, not all of them, but there was a lot of comments. I made a joke. I said, we got more negative feedback having an influencer TikToker on the card. And I'm sorry, I don't know what to call you. I'm just saying that because that's...
Anything works.
Okay. We got more negative comments having you on the card than a guy who's been convicted and had, court cases and been kicked off of colleges and everything like that. We have more negative comments having you on the card. What do you think that is?
Honestly, it's because I think no one like understands, like it's like the Jake Paul thing for an example. Like everyone hates him because they think he's an influencer, not a boxer, you know? So I feel like people are just like, oh, this is going to be like another Jake Paul type thing. But they don't know that I wrestled. They don't know my background. So, but hey, I love the hate though. The more hate, like the better it'll be, you know, like the more it'll like live up to its name. So,
well, I think part of the Jake Paul thing too is he's like kind of an antagonist a little bit. He likes to poke. He definitely likes to talk trash. He likes to poke the bear a little bit. And I actually like to watch it. I kind of like watching what Jake Paul's doing. But what's funny is Jake Paul and Logan Paul both wrestled. And they were both, I don't know about Jake Paul, but Logan Paul was I think he placed 5th in the state of Ohio, which is like a big wrestling state. And then having you on the card, you're a 3-time state qualifier in Iowa, right?
Yep, correct. Yep.
And you probably have more, that's probably more accolades than some of the guys on our last card.
Yeah, no one knows, man. No one knows.
I mean, maybe we shouldn't have even let the cat out of the bag. Maybe we shouldn't have said anything. Maybe that was a lapse on our part. We should have just said he just wants to try wrestling one time, you know?
Yeah, it was my first time.
Yeah, we should have done that. So you qualified.
I was actually gonna wrestle in college.
Okay.
And then this is a really weird story. So I was gonna wrestle in college. I had a couple offers from like various schools. And then I turned them all down to go to DMAC. And I was like, I'm done cutting weight. I'm done with the sport. I just like wrestled for 12 years, like every weekend of my life. In the summer, I was wrestling, like it was all the time. And then when I got to that age, I was like, you know what? Like, I just want to have fun in college. And then now that I'm doing this, I kind of like miss it, you know, like I wish I would have actually wrestled in college, but I am where I am right now. So I'm thankful for it. So.
What were some of the clubs that you grew up going to? I know Oskaloosa actually had a pretty good kids club growing up. I don't know, that was like my time, but I don't know about your time, but I think Oskaloosa had a pretty good club. Is that kind of where you grew up training?
Yeah. So I actually started wrestling in 3rd grade, I think 2nd or 3rd grade. And I just wrestled for like the club at my school, North Mahaska is what it was called. And then when I was in 4th grade, I started going to Young Bucks.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've heard of that.
Yeah.
Like Aiden Reeves and all those guys used to go there. Nick Pickrell and Tom Pickrell were the head coaches of that. And I went there all the way until high school. So like 5 or 6 years I was with them. And then in high school, I just did my high school wrestling and then stuff like in the summer as well.
Yeah. Nick Pickrell's a good friend of the show. He actually might be there. You know, I don't know. Who do you have cornering you for October 29th?
I haven't decided yet, but I'm sure it'll be like Jimmy Schuessler maybe. And then my 2 high school coaches, Dimitri Boyer, wrestled for Co.
Yeah, dude, we know all the same people. That's crazy.
Yeah, and then Ryan Groom, he was also wrestled for William Penn, head coach for North Mahaska now.
Okay.
So
wow. So where are you training right now for this match? Because I don't know if you know, but Ian Butler, he's the real deal. He wrestled at Lindenwood, and he's.
So he says.
What's that?
So he says.
So he says. So he wrestled at He wrestled at Lindenwood. He has his own club, so I'm assuming he's training there. But where are you training? You're in California somewhere, so you have to have some sort of club nearby.
Yeah. So there is clubs around, but right now, me and Bradley Martyn are training on the grass in his yard.
No way. That's a name drop right there.
Yeah. So me and him go at it every day. I mean, he definitely kicks my ass, but it's good training. So
what's he weighing?
Brad, he's about 280, 285, solid muscle, like 6'5", 6'4".
And you're going to wrestle at 180, but you kind of walk around. It's 185, I guess, right? It's 185.
Yep. So I'm kind of a bodybuilder in a sense. Like I like to lift weights and stuff and train all the time. So I walk around like 175 right now, but I'm trying to gain so I can make it like 185, 190 by the time the match comes around. But that'll be really hard, but I'll try my best.
Okay.
Because I know like Ian walks around at what, 205, I think.
Yeah, which is crazy because he fights at 155.
Yeah, that's a lot of weight to cut. That's got to be really unhealthy.
Yeah, I don't know. But you're training with Bradley Martyn. For the people who don't know, because a lot of the wrestling people don't know like the YouTube world and everything like that.
Yeah.
Bradley Martyn's a superstar. He's got like what, 2-something million followers, something ridiculous. And then
Bradley Martyn is insane.
And
he's like my dad.
How did that connection happen between you and Bradley Martyn?
Okay, so yeah, this is a crazy story. So in March, I met this guy in Ames, a bodybuilder by the name of Luke DeWeese, and he was like, you should start training with me. So I went to Ames from Des Moines every day and started lifting with this guy. And then at the end of March, he was like, yo, I bought you a plane ticket to LA with me in a week. I was like, all right, let's go. Like, let's do it. And so he went there to like go train at Zoo Culture, which is the gym that Bradley owns. And the first day I was there, I was filming a TikTok of me taking my eye out, and Bradley like asked me like my story. I was in his video, and the next day I was at the gym and he was like, yo, come to my house. And we talked for a little bit, and he was like, I want to sponsor you. I want you to like move to LA and like pursue your dream of being an influencer, because like I see a lot of success in you. And since that day forward, it just took off. And yeah, he's with, I guess I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for Bradley Martyn.
What's how many
Sounds
followers did you have? How many followers did you have at that time?
So when I first met Brad, I think, which was in March, I had just hit 3 million on TikTok, and I didn't have a YouTube. And then he told me like how to post on YouTube and like what to post and stuff, and just helped me a little bit. And then since I've met him, I've grown about 4.5 million followers on TikTok and 300,000 on YouTube.
Crazy.
So insane. Yeah.
Yeah. You're an animal, and like Steve will do it. I saw you met Steve.
Yep. Yeah. I've met Steve a few times. Yeah.
That's crazy. What does, I saw Bradley Martyn was on a fight companion with Brennan Schaub, the Calabasas edition that they're doing.
Like Rampage Jackson and all of them, yeah.
And they were talking to Bradley Martyn about wrestling around, and like I saw a clip of him wrestling with like Brian Callen and something like that. Did Bradley Martyn wrestle at all, or is he just kind of like a physical guy?
No, he's just very physical. He used to train jujitsu a little bit, and like grappling just a little bit. So he knows a little bit about like combat sports, but not anything about wrestling. So I kind of like had to show him like what wrestling was and like moves and stuff and like how points are scored. And then after that, he just throws me around. Yeah, he's so strong. I mean, the guy can bench 405 for reps.
Did you tell him you're wrestling an MMA fighter in Iowa, and what's he think of that?
Bradley he's definitely aware of it, and you may potentially see him there. We don't know.
Let's go. Let's go. That might be too much stardom in one room for us to handle.
But we can say Bradley, the first time I wrestled him, he was like, you're a lot stronger than I thought you were going to be. And like, you're pretty good with the sport. He was like, I think you might knock this guy out. So like not out and as a win, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of your fans in your Instagram comments think this is a fight too. They're like asking about They're asking about it.
Like an actual boxing match or a UFC fight. So if they want to keep thinking it, that's fine.
Yeah, that's awesome. Obviously, one big part of your content is your eye and what you do with your eye. Has that always been kind of what you wanted to make, like your content around that kind of stuff, to kind of give people support? Because we actually have a guy that we just hired to start writing articles with us, and he said he had the same form of cancer, and his eye said it's a super rare thing, and like he loves the fact that you're doing this. Is that kind of what you want to do with your content? It's kind of like inspire people who have gone through similar situations?
Yeah. So when I first started out making videos, so like my first video I ever made was just like a cliche dancing TikTok video that you see all the TikTok boys doing, you know, and the comment was like, what's wrong with your eye? So I was always like self-conscious about it growing up. So like I always wore like my actual fake eye, and somebody was like, what's wrong with this dude's eye? So I just like in a video, I just took it out and I'd explain my whole story, and it just kind of blew up. And I never thought anything like about my eye, because growing up, it was just like a part of me. Never thought anything of it. Like I wrestled with it. I played football, track, all these different sports. I just like never thought twice about it. Like it was just so normal to me, and I just adapted to it. And then I explained my story, and people like started reaching out to me, and they're like, wow, like you're very inspirational. Like keep doing these things. And I literally just kept making videos. I mean, 4 videos a day, every day for the past 6 months, inspiring people like with disabilities or like with the same situation that I have. And I mean, like, when I first started, I never knew I was going to become an influencer. I had no idea. It just kind of happened. And when I saw like that I was actually changing people's lives, it was just like, I want to do this forever. So like, I want to keep inspiring people like with my eye. But throughout this time, I've fell in love with the sport of bodybuilding. And that's what I want to take that to a new level as well. So, I mean, just my eye content and bodybuilding is something that I want to do for the rest of my life for sure. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. And I think you said something there that a lot of people are going to skip over. You make how many videos in one day?
Yeah. So the first 5 or 6 months, I made about 4 videos a day, every day. And now that I'm doing YouTube as well, so I'm making about 2 to 3 TikToks a day, a YouTube video a day, Instagram. So, I mean, overall, I'd say I make around 8 videos a day in total.
That's crazy. A lot of people are not going to give you enough credit for that, because that's freaking grinding. We've been doing this.
Most people think that the career path of influencing is easy. And at the end of the day, I can tell I've worked construction. I've done all kinds of stuff in college and high school. Social media is the hardest job I've ever had in my life.
That's crazy, man. I mean, people will not understand that. We've been doing this for a little bit over a year now, and the amount of hours it takes just for one episode or one video or something like that. It's not just
You got to plan the whole thing. You can't just turn the camera on and go, you know?
Yeah. I mean, how long's a TikTok? Like 30 seconds long? And like, it's not taking you 30 seconds to make a video.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say on average, I would say a TikTok takes me about 30 minutes to make, and it could be a 10-second video because you don't, it's like trial and error. You make the video and you're like, oh, I don't like my facial expression there. Or like the audience isn't going to like that. And you just got to keep remaking it until you're like, that's the one. But that's with everything in life though, you know?
Yeah. Did you kind of take some, like everybody says when you wrestle and stuff, like you get to take that mentality into what you're doing? Is that kind of something that you give credit to, is like you learned work ethic from training and everything like that?
Yeah. Honestly, wrestling, yeah, it's helped me so much with mentality and like life, especially in this aspect, because most people like give up, you know, like if one video doesn't do good, they give up. But in the sport of wrestling, you know, like you just train and train and train until you become the best. And that's the same thing with like social media. Like it's like drilled into my head now that like, if I want to do it, I can do it. I just got to bust my ass and get there. And that's all from wrestling. Yeah, definitely.
Who did you kind of look up to as a youth? Like when you're wrestling, like who were some of the big name wrestlers that you were like, man, that guy's a beast, I want to be like him?
So if we go back to when I was a little bit younger, I would say the man I looked up to the most, the top two men actually, Matt McDonough and Tony Ramos.
Let's go.
They're just very like physical head-on wrestlers. And yeah, and they're always like, they carry themselves too. Like they're very humble and think of themselves as like just a normal guy, you know?
Yeah, actually Matt McDonough was supposed to commentate the first, our first street league there. And then he actually got sick and couldn't do it. But Matt's a really good guy. I actually like hated him. I hated him and Tony Ramos because I'm a Cyclone fan. So
I'll get out of here with that.
Yeah, the first time that I met him, I think at that point he already knew that I was a Cyclone fan from our show and stuff. And I was sitting and I was watching the Division I Nationals, and he was sitting one row behind me and just kind of heckling me. And they had this like Hawkeye gold chain and putting that on me and stuff like that. But getting to know him through this, he's a really good guy. I look back and like, man, I've said a lot of bad things about you, but you're kind of a good person.
Yeah, he seems very good, like a good person on camera. He seems very, very humble.
Yeah, he's the kind of guy too. You talk to him on the phone for like 5 minutes, and next thing you know, it's an hour, and you're talking about basically everything. So maybe you'll be in the house for October 29th. But let's talk about your opponent a little bit, Ian Butler. Have you done any sort of recon on him at all? Whether it's fighting, he's doing a jiu-jitsu thing against Carlos Condit on UFC Fight Pass coming up, and for us, we looked at this matchup like stylistically. I don't know how it's going to go because there's not a lot of footage on you. There's not a lot of footage on him. But in terms of like, he's got a little bit of clout to him. You obviously have majority of the clout, but I think a lot of people would say because he's so active in combat sports, he might have the edge there. I really have no clue. So have you watched him at all? How do you think it's going to go?
I'm not too worried. I don't know. I haven't wrestled in like 2 years. I know he's still active in it, but I have faith in my past, like with my experience. So, but yeah, he seems like he seems pretty legit. He's a good fighter. I've watched a few videos of him on YouTube. I've watched him knock guys out. I've watched him get knocked out. So at the end of the day, I don't know either, but I have a crazy mentality. So that's all I can say. I feel like I'll do pretty good.
Cardio going well. I know you're lifting, but is cardio going to be there?
Yeah. So I just started training cardio 2 weeks ago. So I was in rough shape, not going to lie, but I'm already getting back in it. I feel pretty good.
When you were at Street League, the first one, were you watching this thinking like, man, this would be kind of cool to do? Or you're like, did you just not even thinking about it? Or what was it like?
I had no idea what it was. I had no idea what was going on. My cousin was like, yo, like, so it's my cousin, her name is Olivia, and her fiance is Jimmy, her boyfriend is Jimmy. And she's like, yo, Jimmy's wrestling tonight. And I was like, all right, well, I just flew in today, so come pick me up and let's go. And it was pretty cool. I would say that what was his name? Was it Tommy England? Mikey England.
Yep.
And Jimmy should have been the main event of the night.
Clearly, yeah. We definitely Yeah, definitely. Because they were by far, they sold the most amount of tickets, and just the way the seating happened, it didn't happen on purpose, but Jimmy's side was that one side and then Mikey's side
Yeah,
was
I
the
know.
other.
There was like 80 of us on one side.
It was insane. And I know a lot of those Grandview dudes, so I knew that they were going to bring the heat. And I told Mikey's actually my cousin. And leading up to it, I was like, Mikey, you better like step it up, man. This like Jimmy's training. He was.
And I also think that if that first takedown in the first period would have went the opposite way, it would have been a whole different match too.
That was probably the most controversial thing of the night.
And now we can't redo it because Jimmy's hurt, I think, after that.
Yeah, I think Jimmy's probably retired now, I'd say. So, but Mikey's actually wrestling.
I don't know. I bet he comes back sometime.
Maybe.
That guy is the craziest guy like mentally that I've ever met in my life.
He's a savage, man. He's a savage.
Awesome. Yeah.
But Mikey's actually wrestling on this card too. I'm not going to announce the matchup, but it's someone with some clout to him. So he'll be back. I don't know what his walkout's going to be, but he says he wants to, totally switch it up and make it cool. Have you started thinking?
I've got a crazy walkout as well.
You started thinking about it a little bit?
I just went out to the mall today and bought something.
Let's go. I love it. I feel like for the first one, people didn't quite understand what we were going for. Mikey did because he's like a brother to me, so he knew exactly what we were going for. But then I think with this next one, the whole thing is going to be elevated more, and people are really going to understand, like, okay, that's what I should have done, or this is what this is about. Because what Street League is about is we want it to kind of take what UFC does and like kind of what Jake Paul's doing and stuff like that, and like they're doing more than just going out there and competing. It's like it's kind of a show, and people are going out there to really get their time like under the lights.
It's entertainment at the end of the day, and like most people don't get that, like with having, like, let's say Jake Paul, like no one's just gonna watch Tyrone Woodley and Ben Askren fight, but if you bring somebody like that can throw all this stuff into the picture and like make it a huge deal, even if you hate it, they're going to watch the fight, and that's pretty much what we're doing here in a sense.
Yeah, I agree.
Everyone thinks that I'm just some podunk influencer that does nothing, besides make videos, but it's like, you don't know anything about my past in a sense. So
we really screwed up by telling people you're a 3-time qualifier. We should have just pretended like you just, are out there making TikToks and you're just going to come in here, never pretend like you've never wrestled before. It'd be funny if you had like double knee pads on and headgear, just totally like.
yeah. With like some old style shoes.
Yeah. Some mat flexors or something like that people would have just totally thought this kid is going to get wiped by Ian Butler.
That's funny.
So what, I don't want to keep talking about the hate that you've been getting, but what did you think about the comments? Did you see that coming?
I get a lot of hate, and not a lot of hate, but I get hate on every post I do. And that's just a thing with influencers. Anything you post, you're going to get hate. And there really wasn't like that much hate. I mean, yeah, I don't know how many, there's only like a couple 20 or 30 comments. So it wasn't a lot, but
that's a lot to like, you're in the millions, we're in the thousands. So when we see 20, 30 comments, we kind of laugh. But what's crazy is like, you're a nice guy, right? You make content that's pretty inspirational, whether it's weightlifting, because I saw where you were skinny and now you're buff and good looking, everything. And you make this kind of content that like makes people feel good. The thing that I think is like they just didn't read the articles. They don't know who you are. They just saw.
It's just the fact that I'm an influencer. At the end of the day, like that's it. Because everyone that follows you, like they're like watches StaleMates, whatever. They love wrestling, right? Mm-hmm. Like they're all about wrestling. Now, when you say I'm bringing an influencer into this, they're like, "Oh my God, this is stupid." You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But it's just they don't know anything about the past. So we'll see what happens on the 29th. Yeah, I'm ready.
I'm excited. Well, thanks for joining the show. I said we keep it brief. Is there anything you want to say to the people? What's your prediction a message to Ian? What's your prediction for how the match is going to go?
W.
Okay. I like it.
That's all I can say.
All right. Well, I appreciate you for coming on, my man.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me.
Yep. Thank you, Jarrett.
Thank you.